My contact with Mike Money came that I got stationed in Warner Robins, Georgia as a U.S. Navy recruiter, and got wind that some legends were going to be wrestling at a building in Fort Valley, Georgia. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why the hell would anybody want to wrestle in Fort Valley, Georgia? Not much out there, it really isn't. Or at least at the time I didn't realize the significance behind that. I went to my first show sick with the flu. A little bit of Crown Royal later, and a couple of these bad boys. This one's for you, Mike. There'll probably be more of that. If you boys want anything, let me know. I'll
appreciate
we'll take care of that. Mike was a Crown Royal man like myself. Anybody back to the story? I saw this Mike Money character, this round guy with these glasses and the slick back hair, looking all hot. Hey, you fat man, go get another hot dog and shut your mouth. Then he grabbed the microphone to say something about money. He said, and you can take that to the bank. He always pointed his finger like this. And I'm sitting there going, look at this guy, you know. I was like, you know, the other wrestlers, you know, of course, my main man here, Warzone champion, Dangerous Dan Horne, my world champion, Extreme Phenom, not taking away from any of those guys, but Mike Money was the guy who sold me. I said, man, I need to get into this, man. You know, this is where I need to be. And so I introduced myself to him sometime later when he came walking through near where my recruiting office was, and we sat down, and he was a lot more quiet and reserved. I mean, in character, he was very flamboyant, you know, insulting people and walking by like he was gonna bitch slap somebody, you know, just Mike. He was on fire as Mike Money. But in person, Michael Bullard was very quiet, reserved, very deliberate kind of guy. Didn't say much, but when you had something to say, better you could take it to the bank. I can tell you that.
Yeah, you could.
So I sat. I said, "Hey, I really love your character. I've been coming to a couple of your shows for a while." He said, "Well, cool." He said, "You come tonight?" Because it was actually it was on a Saturday. I was doing stuff in the office. He was just going to do a little quick shopping before he went put the suit on, put all the gold on, you know. And went out there as Mike Money. Whew. We sat down and talked. I said, "Yeah, of course I'll be there tonight. I'll look for you." But anyway, apparently what I did not know is he posted a lookout for me. Not even bell time, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you're needed in the back." He said, "You're Eric Nelson, right?" I said, "Yes." Look, he wants to know. I said, "Yeah, Mike Money to see in the back." I said, "Okay." I'll never forget it. He said, "Listen, I don't really have anything else right now for you, but I do need some extra security." So he threw me this red shirt that said Event Security on it. And he looked me right in the eye and said, "Well, sailor, manual battle stations." I said, "All right." school. So I had to keep these drunk rednecks from getting in the wrong side of the barrier with guys like this. Not a problem. You know what I'm saying? It was an honor and privilege to even do that. 1 minute I'm doing that. And of course, if you guys see me in my suit and tie, y'all notice I wear a red shirt. That's kind of a salute to that time frame. My humble beginnings in the Georgia independent wrestling scene. Wow. Sorry, just y'all bear with me here. This is still kind of overwhelming for all of us who interact with that man. Anyway, so my lovely wife, y'all can zoom in here and see where her and Tommy Rich are chunking Aja Smith out of the ring there.
Right.
My lovely wife made her debut in 2005 in Fort Valley at AWN. This was before her Pinup Queen of the Universe days. She wore a orange gear. Came off as the baby face. And we had another girl, Deja, I think she was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dementia.
No, not her. The one that ended up with Spaz. Deja.
Oh, yeah.
Deja. Well, it was an exhibition match between her and Deja. Deja was our hometown girl. She kind of was the cocky heel. But it's funny, and I'll post a picture of this later. I actually have a picture of the moment in time that I met my wife. The exact moment in time. I was not.
Yeah, he couldn't take his eyes off of her.
I sure couldn't. I was not prepared or professionally dressed to be an interviewer or ring announcer that evening, but I went out there and gave it my best.
And did a very swell job.
Thank you, ma'am. So I went from just being, the backstage guy to now I'm out there with a microphone, starting and ending the show. Later on, I become a general manager. Every time Mike said, "Hey, I need you to man your battle station," you're like, "What now?" or the biggest one. I know there's a couple of you out there that know this line. Like, "Hey, Mike, I got an idea." Every time I say, it's like, "Here we go. What you done got me into now?" I was like, "Think about this for a minute," But we were always, like that, man. I think the most impactful thing, besides meeting my wife, was my father passed away in 2012. Mike said, "Let's sanction a show for your dad." He said, "Go ahead and get the boys together, and y'all come out here to the valley, and we'll get this done." And of course, two greatest legends that have I've had the privilege of working very closely with are practically family to me. Mr. Bill Eadie, the world knows him as Demolition Axe, and of course, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. They volunteered their time and their money to come down to Fort Valley, Georgia, and put on a show for me, help me bury my father. And Mike was there for every bit of that. And of course, the night I buried my dad, we had a service. I was going to get a hotel room and just kind of go sulk. And Mike's like, "No, I ain't going to let you out of my sight tonight." So I got a fresh ball Crown Royal and he's opened. I think you need to do the honors. And, I got drunk, cried all over his belly, I think. I don't remember half of it. But, in all respects, Mike Money was the closest thing I had left to a father in this life. I think I replaced my original father as my dad,
Mm-hmm.
But Mike helped me through a lot of things. Most recently, September of 2020, we traveled to Jackson, Tennessee to Jerry the King Lawler's
50th anniversary.
50th anniversary show, yes. And I wish our esteemed cameraman, Mr. Gavin Campbell, was present for that.
Huh? He was there.
Yeah, you were at Jerry Lawler's show with us.
Of course I was.
What was crazy is that, both of y'all missed it. I had intended for y'all to go.
Yeah, we didn't get to see the wrestling, but we got all those autographs.
And we got our videos and our we made our mark while we were there.
Mm-hmm.
Mike volunteered to do all this driving, put the gas money out.
So real quick, man, you told your first impression of Mike Money, and it seems like what you said was Danny introduced you. So I'd love to hear your first time meeting Mike Money.
Oh, yeah.
Your first impression.
Well,
About how you met, your first impression of Mike Money. I like that question, by the way.
My first impression of Mike Money was great. I met Mike. I was living on his road, Gowan,
Yep.
down the street from Mike, and somehow I got Mike's telephone number, and I called Mike one night. I was down on my luck, and I asked Mike, hey, could I do some work or something for $20? And from that moment on, that's how I met Mike. But from that moment on, Mike was like a father figure to me. Then my aunt and my uncle was running ICW at a 1361 Peach Parkway in Fort Valley, which became the home of All Star Wrestling Network. And I think this was around 2000. Mike Money was invited, Michael Bullard was invited down to the building to check the show out, and my aunt and uncle was fixing to shut the doors on ICW, and instead of shutting the doors, they sat down with Mike Money, and because they couldn't trust nobody else to take the business and run with it, so they gave it to Mike Money, and the rest is history. The name was changed from ICW to All Star Wrestling Network, and I can't say nothing else, because the rest is history. It became what it became, and it was the #1 wrestling organization in Georgia at the time.
And that led him, later years when he needed to get out for some personal reasons that, he initially sold it to somebody that he felt wasn't, he just wanted the money, he wanted to be able to go on his way.
He wanted to resume his retirement.
Yeah, he had a bad taste in his mouth, and of course, I wasn't here full time yet. I was still in Virginia before I retired. And of course, once I did that call to arms show, he's calling me within a week saying, hey, this is what's going on. I think you're the man to take Fort Valley. And like I said, hadn't been for COVID.
And then Mike Money took over, and one thing led to another. He became a heel manager after becoming a referee at first.
That's right, yep, I remember that.
And Mike really wasn't ready to be a referee, but because of the fact of who he was, he couldn't say no.
He had a hard time saying no, that's for sure.
When asked to be a referee. But anyway, then after that, he became this heel manager and opened up a faction called Money Inc. And I became one of his first members of Money Inc. as the AWN World Heavyweight Champion. And those were the best times that I ever had in the wrestling business. Being side by side with Mike Money, who was such a great person. Like, Dirty and Q said, if you didn't get a chance to meet Mike, or you didn't know Mike personally, you missed out. Because Mike was awesome. He was awesome yesterday, he's awesome today, and he'll be awesome tomorrow. For the rest of our life. Rest in peace, Mike. I love you, and I'll never forget you.
Love you, Mike. As a matter of fact, Greg, if you want to point the camera, Gavin, come over here. Let's go a little bit. All right.
Ow.
Oh, you know, I got a quick one. So, our time at AWN, we got to meet many of the greatest legends of all time. This one in particular in my hand is the mask of Mr. Wrestling number 2. Of course, Wrestling 2 was one of the ones who graced the door at 1361 Peach Parkway in Fort Valley, which was known as the WrestlePlex.
Yes,
That was Mike's name for it. And, you know, it was part of Mike's dealings with me and you and all the ones that were there that we got to interact with this man. I'm sure they're up there having a cup of coffee somewhere, looking down at us, wondering what we're doing, and
Probably having a shot of Crown.
yeah, at least yeah, that was definitely Mike's drink. You know, a lot of great opportunities. Matter of fact, you defended your heritage title against Lady Poffo.
Yes.
We had, and of course, later facilitated you defeating Sabu to become the inaugural Stranglehold Warzone champion.
Warzone champion.
Without Mike Money and his influence and his brotherhood and his fellowship, none of this would be. Gavin, why don't you give us your account of Mike Money and all your experiences, some of your fun Mike Money stuff.
I mean, I didn't really speak much with him. I think probably one of the fondest memories, I had him dying laughing. See, I made a false intro to one of the Dr. Quack podcasts. I was originally going to have it as the starting intro, but after which I talked to Dr. Quack and he was like, no, just let's make that private. And he was just like dying laughing, you know, where he called him Scott. And then I put a little bit of, and then I put Scott Steiner in there, taking you know, talking about putting splinters in your fat butt, you know, and he was like dying laughing.
Did his face turn red?
Oh, yeah, it turned red, and it was like, yeah, I wanted to make that the intro, but, you know, and just, you know, walking over, you know, to that little Italian place we had over there, you know, I stayed beside him, you know, that way we made sure none of us got called home early, you know.
Oh yeah. Are you talking we went to the restaurant in Tennessee?
Yeah, the Italian restaurant.
And not cutting anybody off, but I know another story when Mama Kim's, the Korean food place that Mike Money used to.
Oh, Kim's Kitchen.
Yeah, used to be Mama Kim. Used to be his favorite place to go and eat. Well, I've never had Korean food before.
Well, yeah, it was Mama Kim. That's right.
So he took me to that place and got me some kind of beef bulgogi or whatever.
Bulgogi? Oh, that is.
Yeah, he loved it.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
That was
too.
Mike's favorite dish.
I remember that.
I mean, it had mushrooms and a couple other stuff, and I didn't know it, and I don't eat mushrooms. So I'm sorry I had to push the plate away. Sorry, Mike, but I mean, I tried a piece of the beef bulgogi. It was pretty good. You know, it was just a piece of beef.
It was like sweet beef.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet beef. I'd say Korean barbecue is like sweet beef. Oh, and I especially love their pickled vegetables. Oh my god.
But he had me
Thanks for
eating.
chiming in.
He had me eating these vegetables and all that. They threw like 5 or 6 bowls in front of us with a bunch of vegetables in it. First time I ever had Korean food.
Yeah.
Thanks to Mike Money.
Chris, I know you got to interact with him. We did the podcast.
Absolutely. I'm actually very grateful that I met Mike Money before I met Michael the Man. We were playing arcade games, waiting to do the podcast. He walked up to me, he goes, "Are you a belt maker?" I was like, on occasions. And he goes, "That's money." And he kind of like gave me this cocky look and he walked off. We did the podcast. After the podcast, we went out to a pizza restaurant.
Yep.
But before we got in the car to leave, he goes, "Listen," he goes, "You got a level head on your shoulder, and Eric needs you. And you don't understand why, but Eric needs you. He needs somebody like you on his team." And I was like, thank you. I didn't know how to take it. He goes, how long have you been in the wrestling business? I was like, 45 minutes. He goes, oh, today's your introduction? I was like, apparently. And he goes, learn everything you can. But just know, nothing is too good to go to the show. And I was like, what does that mean? He goes, you'll figure it out, kid. He goes, but be by Eric. Eric needs you. He needs to stay level-headed, and you're a level-headed guy. And he goes, he goes, we get to the pizza restaurant, and man, we ate a pie. The pie was huge.
Oh yeah, 24
and then
inch.
there was another one that went over to a table here, and there wasn't very many of us.
Oh yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, he was definitely there. And I just had the privilege to sit right next to Mike. And then everybody's telling stories, and Mike's like making small time chit chat with me. And he goes, listen, man, it's all about the money. I was like, what do you mean it's all about the money? He goes, if it'll sell, make it happen. I was like, okay. And that was the last time that I actually saw him in person.
I would say so.
It was Jersey Mike's, wasn't it?
You know,
he hit me up on Facebook Messenger. I talked to him several times, and every time it was the same thing. He was the most humble person in the wrestling business that I've came across.
as a matter of fact, I'm going to show you what he meant by that. Y'all stand by 1 second. Where's that?
Do commercial.
But regardless, we're going to take a commercial over here till he gets back. Alright, Paradise Customs exclusive t-shirt for the Stranglehold Army. You have here, Stranglehold Army on the front, spin it around. You have the championship title on the back. The only exclusive thing, it says Army there instead of champion. That way each and every person at home can be a part of the Army.
And for all you out there in the Stranglehold Army that want one of these shirts, that want to be part of that Stranglehold Army, the low price of just $20, you can have an exclusive Stranglehold Army t-shirt. Yeah, check out the back. That's right, custom Stranglehold t-shirt just for the Stranglehold Army. $20, you can't beat it. Heck, you can find $20 on the couch cushion. Get yours today. Hold that. I want you to show the world what he meant by money.
Alright, so if you're watching in the boiler room, you guys know I design belts. You guys know that I run Paradise Customs.
And it's upside down.
I'll get there. I was looking at a way to break through in the wrestling business. Not actually being in a ring, but by bringing my designs to life and putting my designs in front of people. And I happened to meet Eric in a Halloween store. And I just happened to see him. He was he sent me a friend request. And if you guys ever know Eric, he'll send everybody a friend request. He doesn't care if he knows you or not.
Hey, wrestling's wrestling, right?
But I kept saying, I'd seen him before. I seen him at Steak and Shake one day, and I was like, I know that guy. I'm not sure how. A few days later, I saw him at the Halloween store. And then I went up to him. I was like, dude, listen, I run Paradise Custom. He goes, oh, the wrestling belts. And I was like, yeah. And he introduced me to Miss Brandy Scotch Baker, and we had a conversation. And next thing you know, I was re-leathering his tag belts. And then he asked me if I'd want to design a world title for him, and I was like, absolutely. And this is what I came up with. He had told me that he was veteran owned, veteran operated, and he was a deathmatch hardcore type wrestling business. And I'm pretty sure I invited him over to my house. We sat down in my studio. We talked for a couple hours. And within a few days, this is what I came up with. And when Mike Money held this belt, he said it was one of the nicest ones he'd ever seen. And for a man to come from Fort Valley, Georgia, and if you guys know the history of Fort Valley, Georgia, you'd understand that means the world to anybody. I later got into the t-shirt designing stuff and got us some brand new t-shirts going here.
All right.
And we got this one here. Yep.
And now I'm a stakeholder in the company itself. But I'm saying leaps and bounds, we're gonna get to, just like I told you earlier, man, it's all about making Mike proud now. And whenever we do get the venue, if we go back to Fort Valley, and if he called it the WrestlePlex, we're gonna call it the Mike Money WrestlePlex. We're gonna do whatever we can to pay tribute and homage to this man, because he meant so much to this business that we're in, and especially the brand that we wear on our chest, and everything we represent on the brand. Now I'm getting emotional, man. I'm sorry. He was a really good guy, and
We're gonna pause for the boiler room and pause on the broadcast for just a few minutes, and we'll be back shortly.